online broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new Spotlight On. I'm your host, Yael Tygiel, and today I've got Daytime Emmy Award winner, People's Choice Award winner, Eric Braeden in here. I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Yael. Nice to be here.
This is such a pleasure. You have been on The Young and the Restless for over 35 years.
34.
34.
Right.
That is incredible. I want to talk to you about soap operas in general. Why do you think it is the fans really not only are so loyal, but they love these shows?
I guess it has to do with the fact that they see all kinds of people have problems. You know, divorces and problems with their families, with their sons and their daughters, and in business, and I assume they participate in those people's lives. Makes their own fates, at least for an hour, seem not so bad.
Well, I know that the way soap operas are shot is so different than any other TV shows. Can you tell us a little bit about how they're really made?
Let me give you a comparison.
Yeah.
A nighttime television show shoots between 8 and 10 pages a day. At most 12 pages a day. A film like Titanic shoots about 2 pages a day, 1.5, at most 3. We shoot 80 pages a day. And sometimes we shoot, the other day they gave us 120 pages. It's insane
How is
fast
it done?
this medium goes. Well, it's done very efficiently by people who know what they're doing, and by actors who know what they're doing and who have learned their dialogue, and it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds like it. And you've been playing Victor.
Right.
And I know that the fans call you, Victor and Nikki, Nictor.
Yes.
Which is, I think, of all the names put together, you know, Brangelina and all that, I think Nictor is the greatest.
Nectar.
That's the cutest name ever.
Sounds like nectar.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they have had the most troubling relationship.
Oh, my goodness. You know, I think we have been married 5 times, 4 or 5 times, to each other.
Yeah.
And, yes, full of ups and downs, you know?
Yeah.
All the travails of a marriage.
Yeah. Well, you've been married. It hasn't been as crazy. What kind of things do you bring from your personal life into a relationship like Nictor?
That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. Where do you bring your own experience into a character, your own imagination? What does an actor draw from? What does he draw from emotionally? Does he draw from his real life? Does he draw from things he has emotionally accumulated over the years through either film or song or whatever? Good question. We just draw from everything, you know, to make a scene work.
Yeah. But your personal life is not as ups and downs
Not
dramatic.
as tumultuous, no. No, been married since 1966.
Yeah.
Right.
To the same person.
That's right.
Only once.
That's right.
Well, I'm really excited to see what happens with Nictor. Do you imagine that there will be more divorces and remarried?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Of course.
So that couple is set to divorce and remarry, in your mind
Well,
at least.
I don't know whether it will happen again, but I have a feeling, you know.
Yeah.
I think the clouds are on the horizon now, as we speak.
Ah, well, is there anything you can tease a little bit about what we can look forward to?
Well, Nikki started drinking again. So who knows what will happen?
I love soap operas. I love that they take things that do happen and just, make it bigger and show you the layers beneath it, because they have the time for it. They have over 34 years.
And that is what I love about the medium.
Yeah.
Love it. For that reason. You can really play on the various shadings of a character.
Yeah.
And we are not always the same. We are not always, as you know. Life is full of ups and downs. We have our moods. We get angry, we're happy. Various things, obviously, in life make us upset. Some don't. How you deal with it is different. You deal with it differently depending upon the person that you have to deal with. But daytime allows you to approximate reality, I think, more than most films or nighttime do. Although nighttime has changed enormously, I think, for the better. I
agree. There are lots of they call them soapy nighttime dramedies.
Yes, well, I don't even know where the word soap comes from. It's just such bullshit. It's I assume, to the early days when Procter & Gamble sponsored most of it, and they, I assume, were a soap company. But otherwise, it's
they're daytime dramas.
Of course, but it deals with, serious issues. I mean, we have dealt with everything from AIDS to drug addiction to divorces to multiple sclerosis to alcoholism to epilepsy, to all kinds of things, and the social reaction and consequences thereof.
Yeah.
Dealt with poverty, with extreme wealth, runs the gamut, really.
Do you think that because daytime dramas have been able to do so for so many years, it has really influenced the way primetime or nighttime dramas are able to? Because now we see shows that are breaking these barriers and talking about these topics, which, shows like Young and the Restless have been doing for years. Do you think that you and your show have had something to do with it?
I have no idea. I would not be inclined to say so, but perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm
going to say it. I'm going to say it for you. I think definitely, 100%.
The other day they did on Saturday Night Live, they had a thing of Victor Newman in the background, and they were talking about soaps, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know in what context, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
My Twitter people made me aware of it.
You have some of the most amazing, diehard, loyal fans out there. I think it's just incredible that now with Twitter, you're able to communicate directly with your fans.
And I'm very happy about that, to be honest with you. I'm very grateful and very loyal to those fans. Take it very seriously. And daytime has taught me that. When you do nighttime television or film, you become easily cynical because you're no longer in contact with the people that you play to. Never see them. Rarely. And so you don't realize what impact you have in what you do. Daytime has taught me to take that very seriously and to not just throw it away, not to become cynical. A lot of people in Hollywood become cynical.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of a nebulous audience that they play to. They don't really know them. I get immediate feedback every day, and that's very gratifying.
Do you think that when you started, did you have any idea that you would be where you are?
I had no clue. I thought I was going to do it for 3 months.
And look how that turned out. What was it like when you first, can you even...
I hated it.
You can remember?
When I first came?
Yeah.
Couldn't stand it.
Why?
Couldn't stand the medium. It was too fast. It was simply too fast. And took me about a year and a half to begin to like it when they introduced one storyline that I liked very much. When they explained why Victor Newman was who he was. He had grown up in an orphanage. And that explained his character. And I knew then that I could tap into something deeply emotional. And the moment I played that scene with Nikki, who had asked me about my background, when I'd finished that scene, I said, "Now I'm going to stay." I just automatically knew that I'd reached an audience that I had not reached theretofore, you know?
That's beautiful, to be able to pinpoint the moment.
I knew it,
Yeah,
that moment,
that's great.
because I was moved by it. And it obviously touched something in me that reminded me of some of my childhood and all that, yeah.
Are there any storylines that you haven't yet covered that you hope to?
No, I leave it to the writers. I really do. I don't. I trust the writers. You have to. You may sometimes disagree with what they write, but on the whole, I've been very lucky and have no complaints really. You know, I mean,
That's great.
as an actor, you get paid to make real what someone else wrote, and that is our profession. So if I wanted to change all that all the time, I would become a producer,
Well,
an executive producer.
you have done that. You've starred in
of
producing
my own
your own film.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about
I
that?
loved it.
Yeah.
Best experience in my life. Film called The Man Who Came Back. We did that about 4 years ago, I think, or
It was
5 years ago.
2008.
2008.
That's what my
I'll be
notes
damned,
say.
you know, 6 years ago. Best experience in my life.
Yeah.
Did it with two friends of mine, Chuck Walker and Sam Cable, out of Texas, and Ahmed Asante, George Kennedy, Kenny Norton, Billy Zane from Titanic, who
Yeah.
I'd worked with.
You've worked with Billy Zane
Right.
before.
Sean Young, Peter Jason, James Patrick Stewart, with some wonderful actors on the show.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved doing that film.
Any, chance you'll get to do another?
No, because I made a bitter experience. And that experience is that if you are an independent filmmaker, good luck to you. Because once distributors get a hold of your film, goodbye.
Yeah.
You never see money, never see it. In the rarest of circumstances, maybe. And if you're discovered in the process by some important, let's say the Weinsteins get a hold of your film, they pay you nothing, but you become famous after that in certain circles. But independent filmmaking is you may as well go to Las Vegas and gamble the money away, except the process of making a film is wonderful. I loved it. But it's very discouraging later on to deal with. I hope they come up with a different form of distributing films so you do not have to go through distribution companies.
Well, I think nowadays with everyone kickstartering their own projects or Indiegogo and then distributing online or by themselves, it's really opened the door.
It has opened the door, and I'm going to look into it again to see how successful some people have been with that. Yeah, that question remains to be answered to me.
So you'd consider it.
Oh, I would immediately consider
Yeah.
it, of course, absolutely.
Are there other behind-the-scenes things
But
you
you
want
need
to do?
but as a human being and as an actor, you have a conscience. You say, I cannot ask someone to invest money in this if I have no guarantee of making it back.
Yeah.
No one has a guarantee of making a profit with it, but at least to make it back
Yeah.
to the investor. You feel guilty, you feel bad,
Yeah.
So hopefully that will open up with all the new media,
Yeah.
including this one. Look at this.
Yeah.
Afterbuzz, I'll be damned. Yeah.
Do you think you'd go into writing or directing as well?
I am too lazy for that.
For which one or for both?
No, I would have liked directing, writing. I have too much respect for. I hear all kinds of people say, I write my own script. I said, go for it. My son is a scriptwriter, so I know how difficult that is. I have enormous respect for writers.
Yeah.
Directing would be easy for me, but writing is, that's a different story.
I think it's really wonderful to hear, because out in the non-Hollywood world, you look at a show, you see the stars. That's the only thing you know is the star, and you don't realize how much is behind the scenes. And to hear a real star of a show, to say it is the writers, that is who you need to know.
Undoubtedly the writers. Now everyone else helps.
Right.
But without that foundation, you have nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So after that, it becomes a cooperative effort. And sometimes it becomes cooperative with the writers as well. But not in daytime, because you by the time you get a script, it's a fait accompli. It has been written. So you have little time to change things. I have enormous respect for writers. I really do. No, I would not embark upon that. No. No illusions about that.
And you say that you get the script and it's done. How soon do you get the script before you shoot?
I think on the whole, probably 4 or 5 days before, but then you get a series of scripts. So I think every actor works differently. I fortunately learn it very quickly, and I also can go through it and edit certain things very quickly, thank God. But other people work differently,
So how far along in your storyline do you know? Do you know what's going to happen next month? Do you know what we can expect, but you just can't tell us?
Kind of. But you must also remember that I forget very quickly. I learn an enormous amount very quickly, but I forget that stuff, boom, like that.
So do you ever watch the show and be like, wait, when did I do that?
Rarely. Rarely. But sometimes I watch and say, oh, look at that. I'll be damned. Interesting.
Awesome. I want to switch gears a little bit.
I'll tell you why I don't watch.
Okay.
Because I think most actors would be good directors, would be good producers. They have a view of everything. They really do. Look at Clint Eastwood.
Great example.
There's some others. Who's the guy from Mel Gibson? He's a wonderful director, great director. There are others that I'm leaving out right now. But actors have a good eye. They understand quickly, very quickly. So when I watch a show, I say, I would do that differently, that differently, so I don't watch it. It's too frustrating. I don't get paid for that. Really.
Yeah.
So otherwise you constantly sit there and said, who the hell did this shit? Like that, or like that. And sometimes you watch it and say, they did a damn good job.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I think that. And as far as fellow actors are concerned, I have nothing but the greatest respect for my fellow actors, because I see some scenes and I say, I'll be damned. They did a very, very good job with that in that short period of time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I know, start in daytime dramas and move on to do...
Some do.
A lot
Not
of
a
other
lot,
things.
but some do. I think, who did? Meryl Streep, I think, did.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, who
Robert
then
De
became
Niro.
Buffy.
De Niro did. I think Dustin Hoffman did for a while. I certainly know now, sure, what's his name? Magnum P.I.
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck did. David Hasselhoff did. So some have started in daytime and then moved on, yeah.
And you have chosen to stay in daytime, mostly.
Look, let's be frank.
Yeah.
If you offered me starring roles in film that paid a lot of money, I'd be doing that. Okay?
Let me find a writer.
I will not tell you a lie. No. But I love doing what I'm doing, and I'm eternally grateful to it.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears a little and talk about your soccer career.
Long past.
But still an amazing soccer career.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
In the 60s and 70s here in LA, mostly with a team called the Maccabees, and we had the Greater Los Angeles Soccer League, and we had teams consisting of players from everywhere in the world. They were ex-pros, and from South America, Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Peru, Mexico, from Yugoslavia. We had a Serbian team, we had a Croatian team. I knew in the 60s that Serbia and Croatia would fight each other. I knew that in the 60s, because whenever they played, we had a stadium down at Dorsey High School, La Brea on Rodeo Road. Jackie Robinson Stadium. And every Sunday there would be 4,000 people from all corners of the world, and we'd fight the First and Second World War all over again, you know. And the German team, Danish team, 2 or 3 British teams, Italian team, on and on. And you had 3 divisions, and we obviously played in the major division and won the U.S. Championship in 1973. And a team called the Maccabees, a Jewish team. I was the token German on the Jewish team. 2. There's another friend of mine also. Yeah. Then we had 2 Ethiopians from the Ethiopian national team. Then we had 7 Israelis from the Israeli First Division. Some of them played on the national team. Great players. Eli Mamour, Benny Bienstock, Moshe Hoffman, Pini, Goncharov. You know, I remember all the names.
You have an amazing memory.
Yeah. So I learned how to curse in Hebrew.
Which is the most important thing you need to know.
Etc.
Yeah, it's the only thing you need to know in Hebrew is how to curse, so that when you go to Israel, you know how to speak with everyone.
So I became very, very close to obviously to and the entire question of being German, and then obviously the German history, time of the Holocaust. You know, it made me obviously become very interested in history. Politics, became politically very aware, historically aware, and that has stayed with me to the day. I started with some friends of mine, the German American Culture Society, to foster and cultivate German-Jewish dialogue. And because I wanted to confront the issues and not evade them, not talk about each other behind each other's backs. And to discover what we had in common as human beings, and not to have people continue with caricatured versions of each other because of an Austrian private who ran Germany for 12 years.
Yeah.
I resent that. As a German, I resent that. And I resent the dehumanization that obviously occurred during that time, and was exercised more dreadfully and more horrifically by the Nazis in power than probably anyone else. So painfully aware of that. And so playing for the Maccabees, I played Nazis during the week on a series called The Rat Patrol about the Second World War in Africa, North Africa. Played a Rommel figure, and against 2 American Jeeps. And then on Sundays, I wore the Star of David during soccer games, which prompted one Croatian player who I had fouled. I played right fullback, and I'd gone after him hard. And he says, "You fucking Nazi, you fucking Jew." And I said, "Make up your mind, you moron, which is it?" So I've been involved in this question and issue, and obviously all other political issues of the day, been passionately interested, and there you are.
Well, you have this whole second life in Israel, where you are very pro-Israel and helping with, I know, with tourism in Israel.
Right.
And was that sparked from the soccer team?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, all my friends, and we still meet each other once a year, something like this, at Christmas or whatever. I invite them over, and I go to their festivities. I'm not very religious, but on certain festivities I, participate.
Of course.
And I love going to Israel. Very interesting.
And you've been invited to Israel multiple times.
Yes, and an old friend there, Mordecai Spiegler, Motele, was one of the greatest soccer players Israel ever produced. And I played against him in the Coliseum in LA after the World Cup in Mexico, as the Israeli national team came to visit and played against the LA All-Stars. And I played against Mordecai Spiegler, who was arguably one of the best inside forwards at that time in the world. He was a fabulous player. And it was difficult keeping him in check, very hard. But he became a friend, so whenever I go over to Israel, I visit with Mordecai, and he took me to the Israeli Knesset. I trained with the team that he coached in Jerusalem. And then I played tennis with Amos Mansdorf. It was Israel's top tennis player. And then I visited a lady called Orna Porat. And Orna Porat was the lady of the Israeli theater. But she's really German. Her name is Irma Klein. And she was against the Nazis during the war. And she was interrogated after the war by a British intelligence officer who happened to be a former German Jew. And they wanted to, after the war, move to Israel. And she was not Jewish, but she learned Hebrew, and she became one of the ladies in the Hebrew theater. Yeah.
That is amazing. I know that Israel welcomes you often.
Right.
The prime ministers have invited you over the course of...
I had a wonderful meeting with Shimon Peres, who I admire him enormously. And I asked him, as we were sitting in his office, I said, if I come from a country, Germany, and Germany and France, the two countries that were involved in the two most cataclysmic wars in the history of man, are now the cornerstone of the European Union. Do you think eventually it might be possible that Israel and Jordan and Lebanon and Syria, etc., form a union, a Middle East economic union, the way we have now in Europe? So he did very interesting. He said, come here. Took me to a window. He says, down there is where my friend Yitzhak Rabin was killed. By people in Israel who obviously disagreed with that notion and that desire to perhaps establish a viable kind of relationship with the neighbors. So when all has been said and done, I have no right to even begin to criticize Israeli policies. As a German of my generation, I feel obligated to support that country, always, because I think Israel is partly the legacy of the Holocaust. And I understand the raison d'être for Israel, deeply. So I was always will be in support of it, but do I agree with all of their policies always? From a distance, no, but then I don't live there. I don't have to deal with the issues. Except one day I walked out of the King David Hotel as I was visiting, and got into the car that they had provided me, and with the driver, and suddenly a huge explosion went off. It was a car bomb that went off in a bus about 300 yards away. And I've obviously experienced that viscerally. It reminded me of my childhood. I grew up under bombs every day of my life, the first 4 years, The town in which I grew up was 96% destroyed, and they threw 500,000 bombs over Kiel, the town in which I was born. So when I heard that explosion, it just sort of brought back. And then afterwards they asked me to come to the hospital there to talk to people, and it fills you with enormous anger, at those who perpetrated that. But then I'm sure that on the Palestinian side, you have Palestinians who feel very angry about some of the attacks by Israelis. It's once war's unleashed, that's why we must do everything in our power to prevent it. It's a dreadful thing. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
It rends people asunder,
Yeah.
And then when I hear some chicken hawks talk loud about, let's go in and do this and that, I said, you have not experienced it yet,
Yeah.
Think of all the veterans who came back from Iraq with no legs or one leg, or blind, or one arm or no arms, or dead, or, came back in caskets. And that's the reality of war that most of us are not exposed to. and we should be exposed to it far more than we are.
Yeah.
It is usually politicians who sit on their asses and make these decisions, and decisions that have dire consequences for a lot of people. So talk and dialogue is very, very, very important.
Yeah. Well, luckily, the fans who may not be aware have someone like you to talk to them about it, to tell them about it, to help, really bring these issues to light.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. I hope to see you again real soon to talk about all the exciting Nictor things that are coming up.
Yoffi, yoffi.
Yoffi, yoffi.
That's it.
And anything else. Why don't you tell the people at home where they can find you on Twitter?
Oh, yes. Yes. It is at E. Braeden.
Yeah, you want to spell it?
Braeden. E-B-R-A-E-D-E-N. At E. Braeden.
Excellent. And of course, you can find me online at yael.tv. That's yael.tv. And on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Been very nice. Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Afterbuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the Afterbuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterbuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of Afterbuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.